This is what I looked like when I was in my teens. Skinny, out of shape, low confidence. And I thought that was the reason I struggled with women. I could attract girls, just not the ones I wanted. And because of that, I resented women for a long time. I thought it was genetics, that some guys were just kind of built for it, but I was wrong. And what I learned completely changed how women responded to me. Fast forward to now, I don't really suffer with that problem. I'm in a relationship, I'm fulfilled from it. I'm with the type of girl I always wanted when I was younger, and it's because I built muscle. Building muscle is going to do more for you than just make you stand out to women. It's going to lift the veil and reveal things about women that you didn't even know. Most guys never learn this because most guys never invest in themselves enough to see the benefits of having a respectable frame. So if you want to learn the lessons that took me years to understand, stick around. I'm going to break down what actually changed everything for me. Firstly, investing in your physique will make you more attractive to women. That's a given, but you probably think it's purely because of the way you look, and that isn't entirely true. Yes, women prefer in-shape guys over guys who aren't in shape. That's just reality. But one of the biggest contributors to having a good physique is the confidence that it gives you. When you're more confident, it gives you this armor that makes you feel invincible, and this is really important. Women aren't attracted to just one thing about you. A girl isn't going to look at you and suddenly want to marry you because you're in shape. Being in shape gets you through the door, but what keeps her there is who you are. This is something I had to learn the hard way. There were girls that I liked who didn't like me back, and they'd end up with guys who were smaller than me, and that used to really mess with my head, because I thought that muscle was the answer, but it wasn't. And this is where most guys get it wrong. Being masculine is the most important quality when it comes to attracting the women you actually want. And when you hear masculinity, you probably think, oh, Andrew Tate, dominance, and how women should serve you, but that is not it. That is a distortion of it. And if you don't understand what masculinity truly is, then you are going to struggle with women. So let me explain it to you simply. You have two states, masculinity and femininity. When you're talking to a woman you're attracted to, she's usually in her feminine state, and you're meant to stay in your masculine state. The reason you struggled in the past is because you left that state, and when you leave it, she has to leave her feminine state. Feminine women don't want feminine men. They want masculine men. So what actually makes someone masculine? To me, it's not about dominance. It's about having a secure identity. It's about knowing who you are and not changing it to impress someone. This is something that I struggled with so much when I was younger. I always tried to fit in. I always tried to appeal to the people that I was around. And as a result of it, it didn't enable me to be around people who were authentic. Because I was changing who I was to these people, it made it really hard to form strong relationships. Masculinity is emotional maturity. It's not reacting like a child when things don't go your way. This is a massive problem that so many guys face. They end up getting in a state where if they don't get what they want, they'll have a hissy fit. This is why domestic abuse cases are a thing. When guys are emotionally immature and a woman outsmarts them, they resort to violence. Perhaps you've seen this for yourself. Perhaps you know people. Perhaps even your dad was like this, right? Where they're just not mature. They end up getting angry. They end up exploding. It's a lack of emotional maturity. And this is one of the main things. Women want a man who is stable within his emotions. If you overreact easily to things, if you're not stoic, then women are going to be less attracted to you. What stoicism is, in essence, is knowing what you can change, knowing what you can't change, accepting the things that you can't change, and making a difference to the things that you can change. Basically, if you have no effect on it, it's none of your concern. And that's something you need to take into your life. Because, yeah, you might be able to attract women, but keeping them around, it requires emotional maturity. And masculinity is also about taking responsibility. It's not about having a victim mindset. Now, I see this with a lot of guys. They look to blame things. They look to blame their genetics. They look to blame their parents, their situation, the government. And that's weak. It's pathetic. And this is where a lot of women... This is why we have problems in the dating market. So many women don't want men like this because men have become weak and they've become soft. This is why women are going out and getting their own jobs. It's because they're having to fulfill the masculine role that's being lost in society. As a man, you should look at your life. You need to look you need to look at all your addictions and all the things you're struggling with. And instead of blaming on your situation, you blame yourself. Because ultimately, if you want a woman, right? Imagine this scenario, right? You've married a woman, you've got kids with her, and then, oh yeah, you're struggling at work, you're not able to put bread on the table, you're not able to provide for your family. Imagine how unattractive it is for that woman to see you blaming other people rather than yourself. Imagine you come back home, you're like, man, look, we're really struggling, but it's not my fault. Oh, it's not my fault nothing's working. She's going to look at you and, bro, she's not going to want to have sex with you. Whereas if you say, listen, honey, look, we're really struggling at the moment, but it's my responsibility to take care of you. It's my responsibility to make sure that we're all fed, and I'm going to do what I can. Women find that attractive. Women want to see you take responsibility for your life. And this feeds into the whole emotional immaturity thing. If you're not emotionally mature, and if you can't look at your situation and be like, yeah, you know what, this is me, women just aren't going to like it. And lastly, masculinity is strength. It's being physically capable, it's being intelligent, it's knowing a lot, it's having financial resources, but not exploiting it. It's about having the capacity to be able to be dangerous and to be able to inflict force, but having the discipline and the restraint to not doing it. Women like the idea. This is why women have fantasies. If you look and see what women fantasize over, it's like vampires, werewolves, billionaires, these kind of monstrous men. Women like that because they like the idea of being with a man who is capable. If you're not physically capable, and this feeds back into the whole physique thing, if you're not physically capable, women aren't attracted to it. They want a man who they look at and they're like, yeah, that's him, I know he's got me covered. If they look at you and you look weak and you've got man boobs and you feel within yourself that you're weak and you're not capable, a woman is not going to be attracted to you. She's going to go and she's going to want someone else. And this is why building your physique is so important, because it's going to increase your confidence. And confidence is one of the biggest pillars of masculinity. It's about being certain of who you are. It's not something that is really loud. It's not this peacocking thing where you're arrogant. Confidence is this stable thing. It's where you can walk into a room full of people and you know who you are, and it's where you don't have to fake who you are around other people. And this is something that you struggle with when it comes to women. This is something that I've struggled with as well. You try and make yourself seem different to who you are in the hopes that you can attract this kind of woman, because you look at the kind of woman and you think she wants this certain type of guy, so I'm going to go and be this certain type of guy for her, when you know that's not you. How do you expect for a woman to like you if you can't even be yourself? You get so caught up in attracting these certain kinds of women when what you should really be doing is being authentic, and then figuring out which women click with you when you're authentic, instead of trying to change yourself. This is why you're finding it so hard. The reason why you struggle with some women but not others, you need to think about this. Certain women you've spoken to, they seem so easy to talk to, mate. I remember that when I was younger, there were so many women that I could chat to, and it's just there's no stress behind it. It's so easy, and I was barely trying at this point, and for some reason they're still coming back. I'm barely putting in any effort. You're barely replying, and they're so into you. But then there's the other women that you're talking to, and you just start acting different. You start overthinking about it. You get to this mindset where you're like, oh my god, I've got to get the perfect reply because otherwise she's not going to be interested in me. And you start becoming cautious in the conversation, and then that's why you end up losing it. There's girls that you've spoken to in the past where you've tried to come across a certain kind of way. You're trying to look perfect, and because you're so mentally invested into it, that's what's pushing her away. But compared to the women that you don't really care about, who you can just chat to and you're like, yeah, whatever, you are your more authentic self because you're not trying to impress her. And when you carry that authenticity, that's what's making you seem more masculine, and that's why the women that you don't want you. And vice versa. The women that you do want don't want you. It's because you lack the authenticity, which means you're lacking that masculinity. And that real authenticity is about accepting your strengths and weaknesses. When you're talking to the women that you don't really care about, you're so open. Compared to the women that you do want, you start to hide more of your weaknesses and you start to only show your strengths, and that's not real. You need to stop hiding parts of yourself for validation of others. It's not just in women, but it's in other cases around guys. It's going to cripple who you are, and it's going to make you feel lesser about yourself. Building my physique actually showed me this, and this is the veil that I was talking about, because even when I had muscle, I still put women above me, and I still lost them. And it made me realise that I viewed things completely wrong. But I wouldn't have realised this if I didn't have the muscle. It was when I stopped placing these women on a pedestal and when I focused on being masculine, being authentic and being real that everything changed. See, I went into it thinking that you needed to be a certain kind of guy with muscles and whatnot, and that's where I fucked up. But if I hadn't have built the muscle, I would have never learned this. When I put less pressure on myself, the attraction became easier. And I know this is easier said than done, but what you need to do is you need to even the playing field. You know, all women, they eat, they sleep, they shower, and they go to the toilet the exact same way as you. Just because they look a certain kind of way, and just because they're pretty, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be yourself. And when you stop trying to be that guy, you actually become that guy. Because the guy women like don't actually chase their validation. What that guy does is he takes care of himself, he improves himself, but he doesn't actually care what people think whilst he's doing it, and that is the difference. At the moment, you do things for the approval of others, and as a result of it, you don't get the approval of others. So what you instead need to do is get the approval of yourself, and by doing so, you then get the approval of others. Because the moment you stop focusing on what's around you, instead you start focusing on what's in yourself, you start attracting. But the moment you start chasing, you repel. Building muscle completely changed my physique, but more importantly, what it did is it changed how I saw myself in relation to others. And when that paradigm changed, the way that women responded to me changed too. If you are struggling right now, don't focus on women first. That's the worst thing you can do. You should instead focus on building yourself. Build your physique, build your confidence, build your discipline, build your identity, who you are. Pursue things which make you feel more yourself and remove the things that take that authenticity away from you. And when you do this and when you invest into yourself to a greater degree, everything else is going to follow from that. And your life completely changes and your life becomes so much better. If you got value from this video, send it to someone who you think needs to hear it, and I'll catch you in the next one.